Hey guys! Today we'll be recapping the manhwa, Baby Pharmacist Princess. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, as it really helps our channel grow. Thanks. Our story begins on a gloomy stage at the execution of a young lady. She kneels before a noblewoman called Alexandra Zen Castalia. A picture-perfect villainess if I ever saw one. I mean, look at her. Doesn't she just ooze evil? The girl in front of her, Cherise, is an illegitimate member of the royal family and Alexandra's half-sister. She's been accused of plotting treason, though somehow I get the sense that isn't true. As Cherise kneels beneath the guillotine, her sister draws close, whispering quietly that she's really happy to watch her die. Damn, how cold can you get? Suddenly, a screen pops up offering Cherise a chance to end her game and start over. I think anyone in her position would take the chance. It's better than having your head cut off. So Cherise clicks yes and suddenly pops out of the guillotine, shocking her half-sister and all the guards. She even gets a chance to give Alexandra the bird before the game fades to black. I think I like this girl. Back in reality, the girl playing as Cherise throws off her headset, irritated. She spent a lot of time playing this VR game where the main character acts as a kingmaker, picking a successor to ascend to the throne without getting killed themselves. It's pretty difficult, and so far, our protagonist hasn't succeeded once. At the start of the game, you can choose your class and stats, so she picked the pharmacist route. By gathering, producing, and selling potions, she made a ton of cash, which she wanted to use to put Alexandra at the top and turn her into the Empress. But she couldn't win her trust, and in the end, she got betrayed. Our protagonist is about to give up and get ready for work when suddenly the screen glitches. After hitting it a few times, a new option pops up with an announcement carried by a floating bunny. There's a special event for the most hardcore of players, giving them a key to another dimension for an insane price. Seriously, is that like a billion? A trillion? Who knows? Either way, it looks like spam, so the girl tries to click no. But instead, a message pops up saying her payment has been completed. Well, kiss your savings goodbye, bestie. Looks like she'll also have to kiss her old life goodbye because when our protagonist wakes up, she's in the body of baby Shereice, lying on the floor of the Imperial Palace. Another screen pops up, this one claiming her payment has failed. Because she doesn't have the money, her title is switched from customer to debtor, and suddenly the notifications start looking kind of evil. Uh-oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. Aside from the very concerning notifications, there's also the issue of young Alexandra currently looming over her. In the game, she starts at 15, but it seems like both girls are far younger than that here. While the protagonist, now baby Cherise, is fiddling with the display, Alexandra gives her a kick. Seems like these two were enemies from the start. Though famous for her beauty, Princess Alexandra Castalia has always been a rotten soul. As if to prove it, she pulls out a riding crop, threatening to whip her half-sister with it. At just that moment, our protagonist receives the memories of Cherise, who has been bullied and mistreated ever since she was born. Although the royal family of the Castalian Empire received preferential treatment, Cherise, as a half-blooded royal, was always looked down upon. That's why the game positions her as the kingmaker, someone able to play God and put a character of their choice on the throne. But that's pretty much impossible when every possible option turns into a villain. At least this time, Cherise has more control over her actions. And after several failed runs at the game, she's had enough. When Alexandra gets close enough, she smashes her head into her chin and sprints away as fast as she can. While running through the corridors, she spots that evil little bunny, the one that took all her money and forced her into this body. Furious, Cherise speeds up. While trying to catch him, she ends up in an abandoned, dusty room. The bunny is nowhere to be seen, but Alexandra is still out hunting for her, so she decides to hunker down and hide here for a while. Her thoughts turn to the real world, and the life she desperately wants to get back to. In order to return, she needs to pay a debt of 10 billion gems, which seems practically impossible. At least for the time being, she's going to have to learn how to survive in this body. Although she's small and weak, Cherise is very cute. Maybe she can earn enough money to go back by using her baby charms to win people over. With a click of her fingers, she summons the control screen, listing her objectives in the game. The first, obviously, is to repay that enormous debt. The second is to become heir to the throne, and the third is still a mystery. But that's totally the opposite to the game. Being kingmaker was hard enough. How is she supposed to become the heir to the throne? To start with, she's an illegitimate child, so that makes it near impossible for her to inherit the title of Empress. But on top of that, the current emperor has a total of 14 grandchildren currently capable of inheriting the title. Among those 14, only 11 actually competed in the original game, but that's still 10 kids too many. While Shereice is looking through the quest screen, she is found by Alexandra, who somehow looks even more violent and malicious now than earlier. In this world, the heir to the throne can use magic, so the evil Alexandra flew up to the window to catch her. And just like that, the first game is over. Oh wait, does that mean she just killed Shereice? Oh my gosh, how evil do you have to be to murder a 4-year-old? She is literally the devil! Everything goes black, and Shereice wakes up on the floor again in the same position as an hour ago. Well, here we go again. It looks like running away wasn't enough to complete the quest. Upon closer inspection, it doesn't say to escape Alexandra, so that means she needs to get away completely, and she can't do that alone. At first, Shereice quietly takes the beating while forming her plan. But when Alexandra grabs her hair again, she can't help but fight back. Just like last time, she slams her head into her half-sister's chin. She resists the urge to run away, since that didn't work last time. But maybe she should, because the next moment, Alexandra's nose starts bleeding, and she gets even angrier than before. Uh-oh. Against her instincts, a sudden mission pops up telling her to stop the nosebleed. It sounds crazy to stay instead of running away, but the reward is 10 gems. And she's gotta start somewhere. Before Alexandra can wind up another punch, little Shereice holds a cloth to her nose, mopping up the blood and stopping her in her tracks. Suddenly, a maid storms in, shocked to find the favored princess of the Castalian Empire bleeding. Shereice is hoping the nanny will save her, but she only cares about Alexandra. In fact, she seems almost more bloodthirsty than the princess. Shereice surprises her by answering back. Apparently, she never spoke before now, but this time she stands her ground. It still doesn't do her much good. Instead of letting the adult take charge, Alexandra steps in, deciding to punish her sister herself. She summons her magic, displaying the powers of the Dragon Heart, the symbol of the royal family. This special ability is only gifted to those in the bloodline of the Emperor. So not only is she about to burn her sister to a crisp, but she's also rubbing in the fact that she's illegitimate. Using the Dragon Heart for violence is prohibited before the age of 10. But I think we all know at this point that Alexandra doesn't care about the rules. Shereice is ready to face her doom when suddenly another notification pops up loading a set of user abilities. And guess what? Shereice also has the power of the Dragon Heart. They're a lot less powerful than her sisters, but at least she's not totally useless. In addition to that, she also has a strong specialty for pharmacology, which will come in handy later. That is, if she can survive this battle. It's also locked until she has paid back half of her debt, so for the time being, her pharmacology skills are capped at a very low rank. Seriously, it's like this game is setting her up for failure. On the orders of the princess, the nanny grabs Shereice and throws her to the ground, calling her a disgraceful child. Alexandra will only forgive her if she kneels and kisses her hand, which is a really big deal. One royal would never kneel to another unless it was the emperor. For the sake of her pride, Shereice refuses and suddenly lunges forward to bite her leg. Oh no, now she's done it. Absolutely enraged, Alexandra summons the full extent of her powers, swearing to end her sister's life. Poor Shereice has no other option but to meekly call for help, hoping for at least one adult with a conscience in this palace. At that very instant, the three of them are walked in by the one person who might actually be able to help. This man is Baikal Win Castalia, the divine king of the Northern Empire. And boy, is he handsome. Even as a 4-year-old, Shereice is struck by his good looks. King Baikal heard the noise from outside and came to investigate. By some stroke of luck, he's not on Alexandra's side. As soon as he expresses disapproval, the young princess starts to shake and immediately apologizes. The king reminds her coldly that she is not to use her powers until the age of 10, especially against other royals. He's probably the only person that actually considers Shereice a royal. The nanny tries to explain that Shereice caused trouble first, but Baikal doesn't take kindly to a lowly maid speaking up in his presence. When he turns around, she drops to her knees at once and sits quietly while he checks on Shereice. She assures him she's not injured, surprising the king. Most kids, heck, most people are terrified of him, but Shereice isn't even shaking. She's more interested in the character information that just popped up, detailing his family history and even his current physical condition. He's related to Shereice's mother, so maybe that's why he's a little softer towards her. While she was distracted, Baikal's right-hand man, Jackal, appeared. The king asked Jackal to take her to his quarters for a checkup. She's about to take his hand when a surprise quest pops up, challenging her to hold King Baikal's hand to relieve his bloating stomach. What kind of nonsense is that? The thing is, it's worth extra points for how dangerous it is because, let's be frank, Baikal does not look like the kind of guy who likes holding hands. Shereice decides to risk it and goes all in. She rushes over to the king and grabs him, even calling him father. Everyone is stunned. She acts as cute as she can, saying that if anyone should take her away, it should be him. It's a high-risk strategy, but will it pay off? She keeps babbling, asking him to be her father and promising to be well-behaved. The truth is, he's actually her uncle, her mother's eldest brother. But the details aren't important right now. To try and convince him, she offers to press a pressure point on his hand to relieve his bloating. I'm not sure how a kid is supposed to know about acupressure techniques, but you've got to give her points for being creative. And surprisingly, it works. Instead of handing her off to Jackal, Baikal picks her up himself and promises to take her home. Suddenly, another notification pops up announcing that she's completed the tutorial. For the time being, it will merge her consciousness with her real-world identity, Yoon Che-ri. Apparently, her body will be switched to off mode, which is mildly concerning. But it's not like she can do anything about it from this tiny little body. As he's walking away, Baikal warns Alexandra not to bother Shereice again. From now on, she's under his protection and has the honor of his family name. He also says she's not allowed to leave the palace for 1 month. Wow, that was fast. Shereice went from all alone to having a super powerful protector in like half an hour. He leaves the rest of the punishment to Jackal, including the interrogation of the nanny to find out the full story. Yikes. I'm glad this guy is on her side and not against her. After falling asleep in her adopted father's arms, baby Shereice wakes up in a huge, comfortable bed feeling better than ever. She is still getting her bearings when a pretty young girl introduces herself as Sophia Everville, the eldest daughter of the Everville family who serve the Divine King. From the history of the Empire, Shereice knows the Evervilles are a very prominent family. For the last 500 years, there have been lots of dedicated families who have served the royals, and the most loyal of all are the Evervilles. That means Sophia would be another amazing ally to have on her side. So Shereice turns on the charm, making use of her adorable baby features. She is immediately rewarded with a cuddle and the promise that Sophie will be her personal caretaker from now on. Apparently, the Divine King personally ordered it. Maybe being reminded that she's part of the Wynn family has given him a sense of responsibility. Better late than never, I guess. Sophia does her hair, dressing her up all pretty and leading her to have breakfast with her new father. While walking over, she becomes suspicious of this preferential treatment, but Sophia assures her that she's in good hands. Of all his brothers and sisters, Baikal loved her mother Kaena the most. But if that's the case, why did he ignore her until now? The table is laid out in the gardens, where Baikal is already waiting for her. Shereice has probably never had this much food in her life, so she sits down with a big smile and acts as well-behaved as possible. Before she can dig in, another mission appears, asking her to hold his hand and soothe his bloating. Again with the bloating? What is she, a doctor? Actually, in her past life, her grandfather raised her to become a doctor, but she chose the pharmacist career path instead because she wanted to research and develop new drugs. Since she's got a decent time limit on the mission, Shereice can enjoy a nice breakfast first. Baikal teases her by trying to give her vegetable dishes first, but then brings out the good stuff. She's even assigned a maid named Nania Lindensky to help her eat. This is ultimate luxury. Once she's scraped her plates clean, it's time for the main mission. In order to actually cure the bloating, she'll need to lance his finger. But that's not exactly a casual request. I mean, if a 4-year-old came running up to you, asking if they could stab you with a heated needle, what would you say? No, duh. The staff are horrified. She tries to explain it away by claiming a big dragon came to her in her dream and told her all kinds of things, including cures for when your stomach hurts. Apparently. They're not totally convinced, but Baikal is willing to give it a go. He orders everyone to get the materials that Shereice needs, so she whispers to Sophia, who then hands the list to Nania to procure. It's a pretty simple list. Just a candle, bandages, clean water, and a long, thin needle. Jackal asks why she didn't just tell everyone out loud, and she says she didn't want to scare her father by talking about needles in front of him. The idea that she could scare someone like Baikal at all is hilarious. His palace is famous for being totally impenetrable. In all her run-throughs, Shereice could never get inside, no matter how many bribes she attempted or spies she placed. At least that means she'll definitely be safe if she can earn her place here. Soon, Nania returns with the supplies, so Shereice gets to work. She ties a ribbon to mark the spot, then preheats the needle to sterilize it. I'm kind of shocked these people are letting a 4-year-old handle a needle. Does no one know about basic parenting? Baikal offers up his hand, and Shereice focuses all her energy to prick just the right spots. One gentle tap, and it's done. The notification announces her mission success and awards her 1,000 gems. Baikal is surprised, but he already feels better. Shereice tries to avoid any questions about her medical technique, but fortunately, the king doesn't seem too suspicious. At the encouragement of Jackal, he pats his daughter's head and tells her he's very proud. So not only did she win back some money, she's also earned some of his affection. Unfortunately, she also hasn't got rid of his indigestion completely. In order to earn extra points, she'll need to get rid of the remaining 50%. The game gives her a little hint by pointing to the herbs and fruits in the garden, suggesting she make a natural digestive remedy to completely cure him. And the reward is 10 million gems. It's definitely worth attempting, but how the heck is she going to figure out which plants to use? This is where her pharmaceutical knowledge comes in handy. Apricot soaked in sugar is supposed to help digestion, and she already knows there are apricot trees in the garden. Before she can plan anymore, Baikal announces that he's going to work. She stops him on the way and asks him to treat her as a real daughter. She even offers to take a test to prove herself. After all, just living in his palace and being pampered isn't going to offer her the protection of a real heir. King Baikal says in order to be his daughter, she should just play and have fun, especially on a sunny day like this. Wait, that's it? Shereice was expecting him to make her study or something. But maybe this is for the best. Playing in the garden will give her a chance to make the apricot soaked in sugar. While she's off exploring the grounds, Jackal and Baikal are watching from his office window. The whole palace has come alive with this newest addition. Jackal says it's because she reminds everyone of her mother, Princess Kaena, who was just as brave as Shereice and never feared Baikal. Looking through her documents, there's no information about her father. Maybe that's why she's had such a hard time being accepted by other royals. She was also listed as a slow learner, but suddenly on the day Baikal arrived, she started talking and acting intelligently. Let's hope he takes that as a sign of her affection and not something more suspicious. Next, we find out a bit more about the Castalia Empire. The northern and southern territories of the empire are ruled by different kings, almost like their own countries. But to be honest, the true power in the empire lies with the northern king, the strongest dragon slayer and swordmaster, Rerhod Royal Castalia. I mean, with a name like that, he was never going to be just some guy, was he? Rerhod is treated like the real emperor. His Dragonheart powers are so strong that they've even extended his lifetime. He's been ruling this empire for the last 150 years. So yeah, this guy is a pretty big deal. He has 3 biological children whom he loves very much, who are called Jen, Jin, and Win. Baikal and Shereice are descendants of Win, who have historically been the most powerful faction among all the Emperor's descendants. Recently, things have got a bit tense between the Win and Jen family, who have been engaged in embezzlement and been disrespecting Shereice. For the meantime, they want her to start acting and looking like a real princess as soon as possible, and that means she needs jewelry stat. I didn't realize it was a requirement for 4-year-olds to wear priceless gems. Apparently, it's a big honor to be allowed onto the 4th floor, where they keep the gems and clothes, including some special pieces that were meant for Shereice's mother. She looked just like her when she was little. Kaena, like her daughter, had no fear of Baikal, and always begged him to play with her. They stayed close as siblings until one day she had to leave his palace, and then... Well, it's not clear how exactly she met her end, but the memory of that day still haunts the king. Most royals of his level would have erased the trauma with advanced magic, but Baikal was trapped under a lake for 4 years, which has affected his abilities. Why he was trapped under a lake is also a mystery. I don't know about you guys, but this plot has already got my head spinning, and we've only just started! While Jackal and Baikal are discussing her upbringing, Shereice is running around in the grounds having the time of her life. For now, she seems to be doing pretty well. She already has a load of gems, a protective father figure, and she's safe from all the nasties in the Imperial Palace. She's starting to feel really positive about erasing her debt and returning to her home in the real world. An exhausted Sophia finally catches up with her and announces that she's been given permission to take whatever she wants from the 4th floor. Of course, Shereice has no idea what that means. Baikal's botanical palace has 3 floors. Architecturally speaking, the 4th floor doesn't exist. Actually, the 4th floor is a secret dimension, kept hidden by Baikal's magic. As soon as he became an adult, he used his powers to create it, so it really is an honor to be allowed to enter. However, Shereice has just found the apricot tree she was looking for. She asks Sophia very sweetly if they can go a little later, so naturally she agrees. She even offers to show her where they keep the harvested apricots, which is exactly what she needs for her mission. Back in Baikal's office, Jackal has even more reports on Shereice's condition. They placed a machine next to her while she slept, which measures how much dragon heart power a person has. Shereice has shockingly little. Like, look at that! You can barely see it! Unfortunately, she seems to be uncommonly weak for a royal. If anything, she's more like an ordinary person. Uh-oh. It's not good that the king has found this out. What if he decides she's too weak and kicks her out of his palace? Jackal suggests basically the same thing. He's worried for her health and advises they take her out of the race to become an heir and away from the palace. But Baikal says that wouldn't help. Fighting continues just the same outside the palace as it does inside. She would still be a target wherever she goes. It seems impossible to protect her, but Baikal has something up his sleeve. Clearly, it's a pretty reckless idea, judging by Jackal's reaction. It's not something illegal, but it would leave a stain on the honor of the Wynn family, and especially on his sister's legacy. Would these people stop being so secretive already? I want to know what it is! For the time being, all we know for sure is that Baikal has decided to formally adopt Shereice. Jackal seems a lot more chill with that decision and promises to proceed with the next steps as soon as possible. By the way, Baikal already has 2 kids, twin sons named Edis and Gargus. They've been incredibly strong since childhood, truly their father's sons. He's never had to worry about them, until now. I wonder how they'll react to having a baby sister. Other than his actual children, Baikal has another reason to be worried about Shereice. She said that a dragon came to her in a dream and told her to prick a finger with a needle as a cure for bloating. Jackal didn't and still doesn't seem surprised by that. After all, the royal family is full of weird and quirky traits because of the power of the dragon heart. But Baikal is suspicious. He doesn't think she lied for any malicious reasons, but he definitely thinks she made it up. According to her old nanny, Shereice wasn't educated at all, meaning she shouldn't be able to read, write, or even eat properly. They even thought she couldn't speak before the day Alexandra hit her, so she must have learned all these things from somewhere else. He doesn't really believe it came from a dragon in her dreams, but that story has given him an idea. He tells Jackal to spread a rumor that Shereice is blessed by the dragon and was educated in her dreams. Ever the loyal servant, he agrees at once. That rumor will make it less suspicious for Baikal to suddenly adopt Shereice, but it might make things a bit awkward for the boys who are at Yanza Academy. They'll probably hear about their new sister through the rumor before they hear it from their father. In other news, Alexandra is still being punished for bullying Shereice. She was interrogated, kept inside the palace for a month, and even forced to write an apology letter. Now Jackal wants to know if they should keep punishing her or let the incident go. Although honestly, it seems like he's really enjoying the process. Kinda messed up that he likes torturing a little girl, but she did nearly kill Shereice back there, so I'm not complaining. Even if she does deserve it, she's not their main target right now. Their priority at the moment is to regain the respect earned by the Wynn family that is being trampled on by Jen and Jin. Baikal has bigger fish to fry than little Alexandra. There's also some kind of secret they're keeping from Shereice, though they won't say what. Since she's still so young, they think it's best to let her adjust to life in the palace first before slowly revealing things to her. And in the meantime, there's a lot to prepare for the adoption process. They need her official papers, education-related documents, and a lot more clothes than they did for the princes. After all, raising a princess is very different to raising a prince. While they're discussing the necessary materials, Sophia arrives with a request from Shereice. She wants to use all the apricots in the warehouse, although in this world, they call it uzlum. They think they're inedible, so they have no idea why Princess Shereice wants an entire warehouse full of them. Baikal assumes she wants them for some kind of game, so he orders his staff to let her have whatever she wants. Seems like a pretty bad stance to take as a parent, but I guess he trusts that she's smart enough not to poison herself. And while she's busy playing with apricots, Baikal orders Jackal to collect every book ever written on raising girls. Aw, that's actually really sweet. He must be so busy, but he still wants to be the perfect father, no matter how much studying it takes. Now they've been given the all clear, Sophia and the warehouse workers are happy to assist Shereice making her apricot medicine. even if they are a little confused. One worker by the name of Tombi has spent half his life managing the plants of the palace, and he's never heard of a medicine that uses this fruit. They always just throw it out every spring. Shereice pulls her favorite card, pretending that the dragon taught her how to use them in a dream, with a special recipe no one has ever tried before. How convenient. Sophia and Tombi are happy to follow her instructions word for word, pouring a giant batch of sugar into a tub, then scrubbing the ripe apricots clean in a separate barrel. While they're sorting the fruit, Shereice spots a few that are overripe, so she throws the bad ones out and accidentally hits Tombi on the head. Oops. There's one part of this process that she can't do herself. Since she's a kid, it would be dangerous for Shereice to handle any knives, so she gives the job of removing the seeds to Tombi, who is only too happy to prove his skills with a knife. He looks a little scary, but at least he's getting the job done. Taking the seeds isn't totally necessary, but it will speed up the process once the apricots are stewing. They also contain a lot of amygdalin, which can be really dangerous. A little bit is healing, but too much is toxic. When she was little, the real Yoon Che-ri accidentally ate some apricot seeds and got told off for nearly poisoning herself. So that's how she knows. She is a pharmacist, in case you forgot. The next step is to pour the water into glass jars filled with the apricots and sugar. After that, they just have to wait for it to ferment, which will take about 100 days. So Baikal is just going to have to put up with his indigestion until then. I get the feeling he can handle it. But Shereice does feel bad leaving him uncomfortable. So when Sophia announces there's a spell to speed up the fermentation process, she leaps at the chance to press fast forward. With the help of magic, the fermentation will only take a few hours. Then she can bring the first batch to Baikal tomorrow. The next morning, Shereice is up early. Sophia walks in to find her trying to catch a dragonfly by the window. Surprised the princess is already awake. For today's outfit, Sophia picks an adorable pink dress and red ribbon combination that matches her eyes perfectly. Their first stop is breakfast, but really, Shereice just wants to check on the apricots already. As if Sophia can read her mind, she suggests they stop at the kitchens first. She's such a good maid. The princess is welcomed warmly by Chef Maya, who was very intrigued to hear that apricot medicine was being brewed by a 4-year-old. She leads them to the jars, which have fermented perfectly without growing any mold. The next step is to filter the fruit and pour the remaining liquid into bottles. The actual liquid is the medicine in the end, not the apricots. Satisfied with the outcome, Shereice heads out with one perfect glass of apricot juice for her adoptive father. Only then, Jackal announces that Baikal can't see her this morning. Well, there goes that plan! And Shereice was so excited. Actually, Baikal wakes up every day before the sun rises, eats a small meal, and then works until dawn. From then, he trains all day with his knights in the training hall. He basically lives like a manic fitness influencer every day. But Shereice really wants to see him, and more than anything, she wants the reward from her quest. So she asks Jackal if she could visit him in the training hall, and he gives her the go-ahead. The knights are all shocked when a little girl in pigtails arrives, totally unbothered by all the big sweaty men with swords. She even stops to ask them if they've seen the king around anywhere. She's really a girl on a mission. Already obsessed, the blushing soldiers point her towards Baikal, and she runs towards him happily. The others are a little confused when he kneels down to hug her. As far as they know, His Highness doesn't have a daughter. Plus, the fact that he's acting so gentle and sweet around her, it's all very out of character for King Baikal. Shereice turns her cuteness charms up to 100 and presents her gift, wheeled in by Sophia on a tea tray. The soldiers are so taken by her that they want some too, but one look from Baikal shuts them up. There's the scary king they know and fear. Unfortunately for him, Shereice forces him to share her precious gift with the knights. At first, he seems grumpy, but then she comes over and makes a fuss over his health, telling him not to drink cold things if he doesn't want to get sick again. See? Her father is always number one. He can't resist her anyway, not when she looks like a little angry cat. Which is great news for Shereice, because cats are actually one of the king's secret loves. He's never told anyone about his love for cats, but because she saw his stats in the status window, Shereice knows. So she's doing the perfect job at gaining his affection, especially because she keeps refusing all the knights who offer to carry her around. After a while, the king tells Sophia to take her back to the palace so they can continue their training session. Before she leaves, Shereice thanks her father for giving her permission to visit his secret dimension, and she asks him to call her Sherry for short next time they see each other. Damn, this girl knows every trick in the book! And for her hard work, Sherry is awarded 10 million gems, and an extra 10 for sharing the medicine with the King's Knights. I'd say that's definitely worth the effort. She's already acing this game. As soon as they return to the palace, Sophia decides it's time for them to visit the 4th floor. She wants the princess to start dressing like royalty, but she does warn her that the path to the extra dimension is a little tricky. It's a bit tedious, but it means that Baikal's secret space is the safest treasure vault in the world. On the way, they pass a portrait of Kaena, who looks scarily like her daughter. The entrance to the 4th floor is behind her portrait. The first section is entirely jewels and pearls. Cherise spots a pretty little tiara that she loves. Sophia explains that it actually belonged to her mother Kaena and was given to her by King Baikal. Actually, most of the jewelry in this room was given by him. It's pretty obvious just from the size of the space and the amount of luxury here that he really loved her. But he loves Cherise too. He's even given her permission to take any of her mother's pieces if she wants them. Once she hears that, Cherise decides to take pretty much everything that used to belong to Kaena, especially her favorite little tiara. As they explore the rest of the 4th floor, Sophia reassures the princess that she'll be treated like true royalty from now on. They might even need some more maids. 1 week later, and the weather has turned. Autumn is approaching, and the newly hired maids, Hana and Shami, are on high alert to make sure precious Sherry is wearing an outfit that will keep her warm and dry. Hana and Shami are also from the Everville family, and they are just as dedicated as Sophia. Actually, they might even be more dedicated. Sometimes they even get into arguments over how to best take care of the princess. From the moment they met Sherry, they were obsessed with her cuteness and wanted to serve her as best they could. Maybe that's why she got a quest to slow their heartbeats, which is a slightly strange thing to do when you first meet someone. The maids notice a wound from Alexandra that still hasn't healed, so she uses it as an opportunity to calm them down, asking them to apply her ointment together. It's a little cheesy, but at least she got 20 gems. Anyway, they've been perfect maids since then. The next few days are supposed to rain heavily, so Cherise decides to use the time to attend basic training, a chance for all nobles to learn the history and lineage of the royal family, starting with Emperor Rerhod. That kind of information will be super useful background while going through the game, so Sherry is very enthusiastic about her studies. Normally, nobles don't start this kind of study until the age of 5, but she's already proven she can handle it. But then Sophia starts with the genealogy of the Castalia nobility, and she quickly loses interest. It's only too easy to get distracted when a pretty white cat appears above the blackboard. The freaky thing is, Sophia can't see it. She just thinks Sherry is trying to get out of her lessons and suggests they take a break. Knowing that the cat isn't ordinary means it's probably part of the game, so Cherise decides to ignore it and insists they continue their lesson. They go through the history of the Northern King and how Rerhod, her great-grandfather, ruled it alone for 100 years. He won the heart of the dragon, ascended the throne, and exterminated all his brothers. In case you were wondering, no, the Emperor is not a particularly chill dude. His children continued his legacy, creating the royal family we know today, and all the generations that have followed. The Emperor then divided the country in half and built another territory in the south to give his descendants a chance to rule for themselves. That's what the royal family members compete for, the throne in the south. After a brief pause, Sophia decides to end their lesson when King Baikal himself shows up. Sherry tries to pay attention to him, but it's a little difficult when the cat suddenly climbs up on his shoulder. Is it in some way related to the king? It doesn't seem like he can see it, though. Baikal says he wants to show her something, so she follows him out. A little worried that he's going to kick her out, especially since he's being so mysterious. When he refuses to tell her where they're heading, she starts to really panic. His expression is totally blank, too. Freaking out as they approach the door, Sherry decides to protect herself and takes an opportunity to purchase something on screen. You see, about half an hour ago, in the classroom, a notification suddenly appeared. It wasn't a quest, but an event opportunity. The game decided at that very opportune moment to offer her hint tickets to allow her to access special information to help her in the game. You know, in case she's been worried about the ever-present possibility of being kicked out of the royal family for being too weak. Obviously, if they phrase it like that, it seems super suspicious, as if something big is about to happen. She was also worried that it might be a trick from that evil bunny. Some kind of a lesson to see if she would spend her hard-earned gems just because of a nifty discount. It was a big decision, so she waved the window off and tried to pay attention to the rest of her lessons with Sophia. However, when her father appeared, she started overthinking, so she ended up buying the tickets. Of course, Baikal didn't kick her out. He actually led her to a room full of presents and brand new fancy furniture. I think we all saw that coming. That's 99 gems down the drain for no reason. Shereice must have adjusted a little too easily to her baby lifestyle because she starts having a toddler-style temper tantrum. Her father notices and assumes she's upset about his gift, so he asks if she wants something else instead. Coming back to her senses, Shereice tells him it's perfect. Besides, she should look on the bright side. She doesn't have to worry about being kicked out anymore. Her father carefully selected and prepared gifts just for her, even designing a whole room himself. Who cares about some hints? Shereice opens the first box to find coloring pens and pencils and gives Baikal a huge smile. This is the first time anyone bothered to give her these kinds of gifts, so she feels really special. Baikal is pleased and then mentions that the room was constructed by the Duke of Sustain, one of the Empire's architectural geniuses. Sherry is shocked, but he goes on to list 2 of the other 5 Dukes of the arts, including the Duke of Terensky of painting and Orzena of sculpture. Apparently, they were employed especially to decorate this room and pick the toys. What? So he basically got the Da Vinci and Picassos of this world to help choose presents for a child? This guy is so extra. Sherry is so humbled that she drops into a bow to thank him. Baikal kind of just laughs at her and affectionately pats her head. She doesn't need to be so grateful. As a princess of his palace, she can just sit back and enjoy. He opens a book and tells her to go play, and Sherry doesn't need to be told twice. She can't do anything about the accidental purchase now, but she still wants to read the hints. Picking up a pencil, she pretends to sketch and secretly opens up the hint access page. There are 3 important conditions. 1, she can only read once, so she'll have to remember each one as best she can. 2, the hints disappear quickly. And 3, the significance of each hint is random. Now we know why it had such a great discount. But let's not forget that Sherry was a scientist in her past life, so she has a pretty good memory. Feeling confident, she clicks access and opens her very first hint. The first hint isn't about plot. It's about how her debts is affected by a game over. If she has to start again, all gems collected until that point will be lost, even if she already repaid the full debt. There is one condition where she can keep special items in her treasure chest, but she needs 50 million gems to activate that feature. From her previous playthroughs, Cherise can guess that the treasure chest will be sold in the dragon market, which holds all sorts of rare and magical items. The only issue is that everything in there is super expensive. Even entering the shop costs 1,000 gems. Keeping that in mind, Cherise clicks the next hint, which is pretty vague. It just says that users in debt will have to endure various unspecified penalties. It's basically a warning that the game can and probably will mess her up at any time, so she should pay off her debt as soon as possible. But that's not really a hint, just a rule. Frustrated, Sherry gets mad and clicks through the rest of the hints. But the next 2 are duds. None of them have any useful information, just things she already knows about the game functions and plot. Luckily, the 4th hint does have some useful info. The type of quest will affect how high the reward is, which is chosen randomly with a certain range. Hidden quests are far more valuable than surprise quests, but they only pop up when certain secret conditions are met, so getting one is basically just luck. Achievement quests are the most valuable of all, but they can only be accessed as part of paid episodes which must be purchased separately. Sounds just like games in real life. After all her tapping and thinking, Baikal comes over and scares the life out of her. It looked like she was drawing, but her sheet is still blank, so he suggests she play with something else. Scrambling for an excuse, Sherry says she was going to draw her father, but he's so handsome that she didn't know where to start. Oof, anyone else just cringe a little? Apparently satisfied, Baikal tells her to take as much time as she wants. I guess his ego is bigger than we thought. He goes back to his book, and Sherry comes over to sit on his lap. She asks about the twins since they're coming back home soon. She's worried that the boys won't like her, which is a genuine concern. Other than their reputations as talented, smart princes, Shereice doesn't know much about the twins. Edis is supposedly cunning like a fox, while Gargus is strong like a bear. So there's a chance Edis will see through her act. When she used to play the game, he was always the first to sense any deception. Baikal reassures her that the boys won't be cruel. They don't care about much other than themselves anyway. He then asks her what the word father means to her. Sherry is momentarily reminded of her past life where the word father conjured the smell of hospital disinfectant. Her father was very sick when she was young, but she does remember a few warm smiles before he passed. Trying to change the subject, she asks him to tie her hair, claiming that fathers should put daughters on their laps and tie their hair like a princess. Wow, she's really laying it on thick today. But Baikal is genuinely asking because he wants to be a good father, so Shereice tries to put it more simply. Ultimately, a father is someone who should always be on her side, even if she makes a mistake. Baikal assures her he can do that much, and besides, she's a princess now. No one would dare stand against her. If anyone, including Alexandra, dares to step out of line, then, well, I think we know exactly what would happen. By the time he's finished threatening children, the king has neatly tied her hair with the ribbon she gave him. He tells her she can have anything in this empire. Whatever she wants, he will move heaven and earth to make it happen. And he'll never abandon her, no matter what. Cherise starts to cry. He's so much sweeter than she was expecting. It's a relief to know he won't kick her out, but won't this make it that much harder for her to leave and return to the real world? After crying in her father's arms, Sherry falls asleep on his lap. Baikal gets super protective and refuses to move, even when Jackal arrives with sensitive documents that need to be looked at. It turns out the book he's been reading is also one of the many books on parenting that Jackal found, so he really has been working hard at becoming a good father. And this book says that fathers should always lull their daughters to sleep, so that's that. He tells Jackal to leave the papers nearby, accidentally waking Sherry, who tells him to get to work. That wins a big smile from Jackal, who starts gushing about how perfect the princess is, and even says the king has become much softer since she arrived. They head to his office to look over the adoption papers. Everything is going well so far, and with any luck, they should be able to celebrate the adoption officially just in time for the twins' arrival. A letter from their headmaster says they've already left the academy after finishing their exams early. They really do sound like child prodigies. I guess we should expect nothing less from the son of King Baikal. In other news, Sophia is requesting that His Majesty use his magic to make the plum trees blossom early because she wants to use them as decoration for the adoption party. Baikal agrees, leaving one last job to be taken care of. As of the next morning, a giant sign is posted in town announcing that King Baikal is formally adopting Princess Shereice Castalia. The news spreads like wildfire, which is both a good and bad thing. On one hand, people know not to mess with her now, but on the other, people still believe Sherry's reputation as a royal dimwit. Luckily, rumor is already getting around about her being blessed by the dragon, turning poison into medicine even at a young age. The political tension in the royal family is high, with power swaying between the Gen and Wind factions now that Baikal has returned. With Shereice being the talk of the town, people are becoming more and more curious about the power struggle and what role Sherry will play in it. Meanwhile, the princess herself is gardening in the palace, totally oblivious to all this gossip. She's been exploring the palace grounds, which are brimming with useful herbs for her medicine. Getting a good collection going will be crucial in helping her complete quests later on. Tomby, the old groundsman, warns her that while there are many useful plants, there are also rats and snakes crawling through the backwoods. Which gets the princess thinking, how advanced is medicine in this world? Like, if she catches a cold, is she going to die? She asks Tomby, who explains that the palace has a medical center for the treatment of basic injuries and illnesses. Common folk buy medicine at the temples in town, especially at the temple of Hafnius, the goddess of love and faith. She's the most famous and well-loved goddess of the empire, so naturally her temple is also the most powerful. It's known as the only force of authority that could stand against the Imperial family. That's how you know it's a big deal. That also explains why the medicine they sell is so expensive. One batch of medicine goes for the same price as feeding a family of 4 for a month. And there are far more priests than doctors, so common folk don't have much choice but to cough up the cash and beg the temple for help. Kind of twisted, isn't it? After hearing about the cost and wait times for medical treatment in the Empire, Shereice is seriously concerned. It seems like the whole system is set up to squeeze as much money as possible from their patients, with no concern for their actual health. Tomby can tell that the state of the Empire's healthcare is upsetting the princess. He reassures her that the goddess Hafnius takes good care of her people. Like most people in this country, he honestly believes the best medicine is good old prayer. Looks like Sherry has her work cut out for her. The two main issues she must tackle are access to healthcare for commoners and the level of medical knowledge among the population. But because she's an uneducated princess, the common people are unlikely to trust any apothecary or medicine she could produce. Reminded of the achievement quest, she guesses that they must involve major plot-changing activities. In the game, there is one literally just called Stop Armageddon. That gives you an idea of the scale and danger involved. Shereice is interrupted by a snotty little boy with sharp eyes who calls her a dummy and asks how she dares to stare at him. Bro, do you know who this girl is? Obviously he doesn't, but he introduces himself as a prince from the Gen family. Ash Gen Castalia. Another Gen come to stir up some trouble. Doesn't he realize he's in the wrong palace to be messing with a win? For the sake of her family pride, Sherry can't just let him go. He's just threatening to use the power of the dragon heart on her when Sherry knocks him on his butt. Then he really takes it too far by insulting her mother. Cherise kicks him hard and forces him to apologize, looking the most terrifying she's ever looked in her whole life. Ash is shocked, but holds his ground. He warns her that Princess Alexandra won't let her get away with this behavior. Clearly, he doesn't know these two have thrown hands before, and it didn't end well for the stuck-up princess. Cherise threatens him with a legendary red tincture that can cause agony when dropped into an open wound. Once she mentions poison, Ash is done acting brave and suddenly sprints off before she fulfills her promise. What neither of them realize is that the twin Princess Gargus and Edis were watching their interaction from a nearby tree. They were about to step in and help Cherise, but clearly she could handle it herself. Pretty impressive for a first impression. After Ash ran off like a baby, they consider taking her to see their grandfather, who is very sick. Whoa, they must have been really impressed if they already think she can cure diseases. I hope they realize she's still just a toddler. But first, they want to give Ash a proper punishment for trying to pick on a win. Gargus lands right in his path as he's running away, firing up his magic to prove he means business. While Ash is making excuses, Edis appears behind him, almost giving him a heart attack. This kid may be dumb, but he's not stupid enough to pick a fight with the twins. He gets on the ground at once, begging their forgiveness. They almost let him get away with it too, but Ash made the crucial mistake of claiming he didn't realize the boys were watching. Which means he's not really sorry for insulting Cherise. He's just sorry he got caught. Now he's really done for. I almost feel bad for the kid. Almost. When Cherise returns to the palace, she tells her adoptive father everything that happened and gets rewarded with cakes and another hair braiding session. He actually thanks her for chasing him off. Apparently, Ash has trespassed into their grounds a few times before, so he was overdue a lesson. Once her hair is finished with a pretty cherry tie, Cherise spots the piles of documents on her father's desk. He clearly has a lot of work, so she asks to stay and watch, hoping to gain some extra gems by making tea for her father and his office workers. The grateful staff sit her down with a sketchbook, giving Sherry a chance to draw the cat that's been lurking around her father for the last week. Once he finishes his work, she shows him the drawing. Baikal suddenly turns cold. Clearly, he recognizes it. But it looks so harmless. Why was his reaction so intense? Once he confirms that she really can see it, Baikal clicks his fingers and the cat zings into her physical form. She jumps on his shoulder and the king formally introduces his familiar, Mule. Aha! That explains why she was always hanging around Baikal. Apparently, ordinary people can't see familiars. Usually, your powers must be at least a level of half-dragon in order to see and create familiars. They're only granted to the strongest members of the royal family, so it's strange that she can see his. Sherry thinks it might be something to do with the game, but Baikal assumes this is another sign she's been blessed by the dragon. Edis and Gargus have familiars too, which gets her thinking. Maybe that bunny from the start of the game is also a familiar. She suddenly gets the idea that it might be the Emperor's, but Baikal has never seen it before. He always keeps his familiar hidden, but what if the rabbit really does belong to the Emperor, and this wasn't all a glitch but actually his master plan? Before she can think much more, Shami drops a teapot, alerting Cherise to the metal poisoning in her hands. It's clearly itchy and uncomfortable, so Sherry runs off to grab some ointment. Baikal stops her, reminding the princess that palace rules forbid a member of the royal family from handing out any special items given by royalty, especially those blessed by a priest. Sounds kind of messed up if you ask me, but what's even worse is that Shami has been using an expired ointment with essence of poppy extract. If you don't know, poppy is the basis for opium, a highly addictive drug, that she's been applying directly into open wounds. Uh-oh. I get the feeling Sherry's next quest is about to be a doozy. Sure enough, the next screen to appear asks her to fix the standards of medical knowledge in the Empire. It won't be an easy job, especially since common knowledge dictates that the older an ointment is, the more potent it is. Which is just... oh boy, she's got a long way to go if she wants to set these people straight. She doesn't take the offer because it's paid content that costs almost 1,000 gems to buy. But after her father sends Shami to the medical center and kicks Sherry out so he can focus, she reconsiders. The screen pops up again and again, offering discount after discount until it gets to 900. Finally, she accepts. After all, she really does want to help Shami and the common folk of the Empire. As soon as she clicks accept, an achievement quest appears. The task at hand is to make a new ointment and give it to Shami, plus the 92,000 other people currently using the same rotten ointment. What? How the heck is she supposed to manage that? She's a little girl, not a factory. Just to make things harder, the reward is 100 million gems per person, and the punishment for failing is game over, so she doesn't really have much choice. With just over 2,000 hours to complete this impossible task, the total time is roughly 3 months. After tossing and turning all night, she settles on making an ointment with calendula oil, which is used to treat boils and quickly heals wounds. The only problem is that production time will take at least a month. Then they'll need to purify it, package it, and somehow distribute it to nearly 93,000 people. How will she even find all the right targets? On top of all that, her brothers have officially arrived home. Sherry gets all dressed up to welcome them on a literal red carpet, while the boys get to stroll down like the fancy young princes they are. Sherry tries to act as cute as possible to get on their good side, but it doesn't go down well. And just as she expected, Edis is already onto her. I can just tell he's going to be trouble. After playfully teasing Shereice, Prince Baikal steps in to interrupt. He instructs the twins to spend time with her, noting that their little sister needs more opportunity to get to know them better. Edis assures them that they'll take good care of their little sister. Following a brief introduction, he invites her to their secret base, a suggestion Gargus readily agrees to. In an instant, they teleport to their hidden hideout. Only the twins are aware of this secret spot, so Shereice feels both special and excited to be invited there. Once they arrive, the twins ask their little sister for a favor. Although Edis feels a bit guilty for asking so soon after their arrival, he realizes there's no other option. Ooh, it seems like they have a hidden agenda. Admittedly, they're asking because they believe that she might be able to help. The truth is, their grandfather's health has been deteriorating recently, and the twins know that Shereice has the ability to make medicine. Upon hearing this news, she is immediately taken aback. However, considering that the Emperor is over 200 years old, his condition seems almost inevitable. The twins recognize that Shereice is a clever girl, which is why they want to offer her something in return. They know she has many enemies in the palace, especially among other children who have been bullying her. Surrounded by so many rivals, life would be difficult for her. However, things would change if the twins were to stand by her. So they make her a proposition. If she can help improve their grandfather's health, they will offer their support in return. If she agrees, the twins swear to stand by her like twin swords, handling any challenges that come her way. However, Gargus reassures her that there's no pressure. She doesn't have to agree if she doesn't feel capable. After all, no one would expect a 4-year-old to cure the Emperor. Could this be another quest or not? Shereice realizes that becoming the grandchild who saves Emperor Rerhod by curing his illness would be the perfect way to solidify her position in the Imperial Palace. Shortly after, Edis explains the Emperor's current condition. After hearing this, Shereice suspects that his symptoms are just common allergy reactions. She suggests drinking blessed water, but it's no use since the Emperor's dragon powers are too strong for it to have any effect. Shereice continues to consider the possible causes, eventually narrowing it down to a food allergy. The only way for them to know what he has been eating for the past few days is through his secretary's records, which are confidential. Since it's needed, Edis makes sure to find a way. He plans to bribe their grandfather's secretary on Agricultural Day. Agricultural Day is an event that Emperor Rerhod created 50 years ago. It's a day when people can see the Emperor, regardless of their class, with all sorts of precious potions in hand. The event is a month away, and with the capital soon to be swept up in the festive mood, the people will grow more relaxed and opened. It's the perfect opportunity to gather information. On the other hand, the calendula ointment will take a month to finish. Shereice plans to give the Emperor a sample of her ointment, then offer it as a gift to the public. With the Emperor's endorsement, the people will start using her ointment, and she will have the chance to complete her quest in one go. It's a win-win situation for her. Agricultural Day is truly her perfect opportunity. Shereice starts to overthink everything. She begins to worry about how severe the Emperor's allergies are. After all, the more serious they are, the sooner he'll need a remedy. She snaps back to reality when Edis asks if there's anything she wants, offering a token of appreciation for agreeing to their proposal. At this point, there's only one thing she wants. Later, a maid prepares a sack full of sunflower oil for Shereice, assuming she's planning to make another one of her mysterious medicines. She then takes it to the garden, where she plans to work on it. On her way to the garden, Shereice picks a calendula flower, only to find that Mr. Tomby, the gardener, already has a basket full of them ready for her. Meanwhile, two boys who work as assistant gardeners eagerly lend a hand. Mr. Tomby quickly reprimands them for being nosy and shoos them away. Once they're gone, he turns to Shereice and explains that the boys were simply eager to help Prince Baikal. As commoners, they were often looked down upon by other royals. However, Prince Baikal was the only one who never judged them based on their status. It's so rare for royalty to actually care about the poor. I'm impressed. With that, Shereice is inspired to work hard for the sake of his reputation. She starts by giving ointment to the people, which they surely like. Shortly after, she begins making the calendula ointment in the garden. Once it's done, the mixture needs to sit for a month to turn into an oil that can be used in the ointment. Shami, who's with her during the process, assures Shereice that the Imperial family members will love the ointment. Little did she know that she had secretly made it specifically for her. Once the secret is revealed, Shami squeals in disbelief and awe, overwhelmed by how much Shereice cares for a mere maidservant. She can't contain her gratitude and pulls her into a heartfelt hug. Previously, Shereice used fermentation magic to speed up the medicine-making process, making it easier and faster. However, the current fermenting method is different. In the past, citizens were free to make their own medicines at home. However, as the Hafnius Temple's influence grew, they imposed a ban on homemade remedies, claiming that such practices were the work of witches. While standardizing drug suppliers and requiring medical license is a good thing for ensuring safety and quality, it's hard to accept that people who simply made medicine at home were treated as witches. That just doesn't sit right. While Shereice continues to talk to the maidservants, Prince Baikal takes the opportunity to check on the preparations for her surprise party. It's the only celebration for Her Highness's adoption, so it needs to be fancy. Shortly after, the twin princes arrive just in time, each bringing along gifts for their little sister. Although Prince Baikal initially thinks their preparations are mainly to impress him, he can't help but appreciate their thoughtful gesture in showing care for Shereice. Now that everything is prepared, it's time to bring out the star of the event. In the blink of an eye, Shereice teleports to the venue, clueless about what's happening. Her clueless expression quickly transforms into one of awe and excitement as her twin brothers greet her. In a moment of joy, she presents a crown flower that she made herself, first to Prince Baikal and then to the twins. At first, Gargus makes a fuss, complaining that the crown flower is too girly for him, but after putting on a tough act, he finally gives in to Shereice. A playful banter fills the air as the siblings continue to bicker. After a while, Prince Baikal steps in, interrupting their antics. He informs Shereice that the adoption process has officially been finalized. She's totally his daughter now, and nothing's gonna change that. Shereice feels a warmth in her heart, realizing that she truly belongs in a family. But then a thought crosses her mind. Someone seems to be missing. She gently asks about their mother's whereabouts. As soon as the question leaves her lips, the twins' expressions darken. Fortunately, their mother is alive and well. The twins' parents are simply divorced. With her exceptional intelligence, she became the headmistress of the prestigious Special Yensa Academy, where the twins currently study. Oh wow, she must be so incredibly smart. Upon hearing this, Shereice expresses a desire to meet their mother. Edis adds with a teasing smile that once their mother hears about the adoption, she might even consider remarrying their father. Later, the twins present all the gifts they brought for her. She's been so caught up with carrying out quests and avoiding a game over that she hasn't had time to fully enjoy the moment. At this point, she feels a sense of relief, finally at ease for the first time in a while. However, the nagging thought of losing everything if she fails another quest still lingers in the back of her mind. Speaking of quests, a hint window suddenly appears. She suspects the system is nudging her to read the hints and make a pricier purchase. Still, with the day feeling unusually promising, she chooses to trust that the system has something good in store for her. As she takes the risk, the hint window suggests buying a save point designation dart as a precaution in case of an unexpected game over. After some thought, she decides to wait and plans to visit the Dragon Market in a month after receiving her reward from the quest. Momentarily, Prince Baikal calls her attention. He then takes Shereice to the forest where plum trees are planted for the twins. Every win gets a tree with their name planted in the area as soon as they are born. The father is usually the one who plants it for them. In honor of the adoption celebration, Prince Baikal chooses to plant Shereice's tree today. Though he could complete the task instantly with magic, he opts to do it by hand instead. Once it's planted, she gazes in awe at the golden nameplate crafted just for her. Although he is not her biological father, she is without a doubt a true princess of Wynn. In Shereice's mind, she isn't sure she has what it takes to be a princess. She quietly admits that Alexandra seems to fit the role more naturally than her. Still, she chooses to simply stay true to herself. Alexandra, on the other hand, lashes out, unable to contain her anger at Shereice for what she sees as a disgrace. Alexandra's emotions explode as she vents her resentment. Her history of lashing out at her maids leaves her new attendant hesitant to answer her questions, afraid that a wrong word might earn her another blow. My god, this just shows that she has no class. Certainly not fit to be a princess, nuh-uh. Just before she lashes out again, a boy with striking purple eyes appears, seemingly a timely interruption. However, instead of calming the storm, he fuels it, revealing something about Shereice that only pisses her off even more. He also delivers another blow about the Pope, who died just recently. A new one will soon take his place, which means the new Pope will be required to visit the palace to pay their respects. Alexandra's mind races. Once the new Pope arrives, she'll expose Shereice for crafting illegal medicine, certain they'll be forced to act. Without hesitation, she commands the boy to find out the exact date of the Pope's visit. The thought of Shereice's betrayal after she took her in as an orphan fuels Alexandra's anger. Driven by a desire for revenge, she plans to make an offering to Genovia on Agricultural Day, hoping to gain information on Shereice through spying. A month later, the calendula-infused oil is ready. Shami prepares the pot, which should be enough to give to all the servants in the White Knight Palace. Finally, the calendula-infused ointment cream is complete. It is highly effective for soothing skin issues, scars, eczema, and itching. To prove its effectiveness, a game window pops up, offering special lenses that allow Shereice to visually assess the medicine's impact. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and she has the option to wear them permanently. Reluctantly, she buys the lenses, fully aware that the game is likely taking advantage of her. She decides to put them on immediately, though she has no idea how they actually work. The White Knight Palace is home to a mage who casts various minor spells upon request. However, when Shereice asks for magic, Prince Baikal steps in to perform the spell himself. Shortly, Shereice shows her father the ointment she made. He then begins using magic to harden it, making the process much easier for her. The game window pops up with the instructions on how to use the magic lenses. To her surprise, all she has to do is look at the product and blink 3 times to assess the ointment's effectiveness. As expected, the calendula ointment that Shereice worked hard on proves to be 100% effective, with a shelf life of 1 year. She then immediately gives one to Shami and swears to make more for her soon. She proceeds to give the rest of the ointment jars to the servants. Just as she does, a notification pops up informing her that her quest has been completed. She will be rewarded with 100 million gems immediately. This reminds her of the treasure chest she can unlock with 50 million gems. Eager to access it, she tries to activate it, only to discover that she can only open it at the dragon market. After a moment, Prince Baikal excuses himself, mentioning that he has to leave for work. Just before he walks away, she reluctantly asks if she could use some magic like him. OMG, she will totally crush those quests like a pro once she learns to do magic. Prince Baikal informs Shereice that her dragon heart will be of help in unlocking her magic potential. However, she will need to learn how to draw magic circles first to be able to wield magic herself. Admittedly, Edis is far more skilled than their father when it comes to studying magic circles. He should be able to teach her a magic circle that is perfectly suited to her. Shortly, Prince Baikal instructs Shereice to visit Edis. Before she departs, however, he gives her a ring to deliver to her brother, but insists she wear it as a necklace for now to keep it safe. Momentarily, she calls out to Gargus, treating him like her personal knight. He raises an eyebrow at this. He's only tagging along because she doesn't have a personal guard yet. He acts like tagging along with his sister is a huge chore, but his actions reveal a different story. Despite his grumbling, it's clear that he cares for her in his own subtle ways. After a while, they finally arrive at a massive place, which is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Justice, where Edis is stationed. Upon arriving, Shereice notices Gargus behaving like a gentleman, which is unusual. Once they're inside the mansion, she hands out the ointment to the servants, using her charm to win them over. Indeed, her charm captivates the servants, drawing all their attention to her. Momentarily, Edis calls for silence, clearly irritated as he's been interrupted from his sleep. As soon as Shereice approaches him, his expression softens. He then leads her into his office after she expresses her desire to learn how to use magic. She then remembers to give the ring to Edis, as per their father's order. However, he insists she keep it since she needs it more than him. Unknowingly, the ring necklace she wore was actually used by their father to spy on them. As expected, Prince Baikal watches his daughter while working from afar. When he notices she left alone, concern washes over him. He assumes she's off to pick flowers, but his attention is soon drawn to a young boy sitting under a tree looking unwell. A sense of unease washes over Prince Baikal. He quickly orders his assistant to gather any information on the boy, but nothing comes up. Judging by his clothing, the young boy is clearly of noble descent, but what catches Prince Baikal's attention is his silver hair and striking purple eyes. Those eyes remind him of the people who were wiped out in the Battle of the Vast Plains. Who on earth could he be? Prior to Prince Baikal's observation, Edis was starting to introduce magic to Shereice. He advises her to think more clearly about the type of magic she wants to wield, reminding her that magic is all about exploring the imagination. Grateful, she hugs him, thanking him for taking the time to teach her. Meanwhile, Gargus is peacefully napping on the sofa. Not wanting to disturb him, Cherise asks Edis for permission to step outside for a while. He agrees, but only as long as she doesn't leave the palace grounds. As soon as she leaves, Gargus wakes up instantly. It seems like he's been pretending to be asleep all along. Shortly, Edis informs him about the Pope's death, deeming it suspicious. He suspects that the death was part of a deliberate power shift, as it occurred much sooner than expected. Moreover, on the very day of his passing, one of the 8-year-old children residing in the temple was suddenly appointed as a successor. This means that the new pope could possibly propose to Shereice. The new pope is expected to offer himself as a sacrifice to God at the age of 18. In return, he is granted the right to marry an imperial princess. The pope's wife holds considerable political influence and power, making her a prime target for assassination as well. Shucks, this is getting intense! The Vatican will most likely try to select a princess that isn't an heir to the throne, which leaves Shereice as a prime candidate. However, the twins refuse to let that happen. She has become a beloved member of their family, and the twins are fiercely protective of their little sister, unwilling to let anything bad happen to her. It's certain that a grand celebration will be held to mark the appointment of the new pope. As the twins weigh all the possible outcomes, they keep arriving at the same conclusion. They will do whatever it takes to protect her, no matter the cost. Fortunately, the new pope has distinct features, black hair and red eyes, which makes it clear that he's not the same as the young boy Shereice has been speaking with at the moment. Gargus, possessing a unique power that allows him to see through anything, takes a moment to excuse himself in order to check on their little sister. He then gives Edis a firm instruction to look after her, ensuring she doesn't get caught up in the Vatican's plans. Shereice strolls through the courtyard when a faint sound catches her attention. Curiosity piqued, she follows the noise and shortly discovers a boy sitting under a tree, looking like he's struggling to breathe. This feels a bit fishy to me. Despite the young boy's distress, she can't help but be captivated by his striking beauty. Snapping herself back to reality, she quickly shakes off the distraction and focuses on helping him. She quickly grabs a paper bag and holds it up to his mouth, guiding him to breathe slowly into it. After a few moments, his breathing begins to steady, and soon enough, he seems to relax. As soon as he feels better, they introduce themselves. The boy tells her to call him Pabel and expresses gratitude for her help. They chat for a while until suddenly Gargus appears, interrupting the conversation with authority. He strides over and immediately scolds the young boy, his tone sharp with disapproval. Similar to his father, he accuses Pabel of pretending to be sick, clearly thinking that he was only seeking Shereice's attention. She tries to calm her brother down and make sure that Pabel is okay. Gargus, however, isn't finished yet. Before leaving, he shoots a threatening glare at Pabel, warning him not to try anything funny or else he's dead meat. Pabel Igor Aximus, a powerful demon and chief commander of the Demon King's army, is currently serving Alexandra as his master. In the human world, demons can only cross through the gate and wield their powers once a formal contract is established. Prince Baikal and Gargus were right all along. For the time being, he brings an origami plane to life, using it to spy on Shereice. Later that night, while everyone else is asleep, she takes the chance to visit the dragon market. As she rushes to follow the directions, unaware, she has no idea that someone is keeping a close eye on her. Upon arriving at the dragon market, Shereice is amazed by the place, but her attention quickly shifts to the demon endorsing a capsule vending machine. This machine gets rid of useless items at a cheaper price, but sometimes it dispenses a valuable or expensive item like the dragon wand. When you slam the dragon wand on the ground, you get whatever you want, but it can only be used 100 times, which is one reason many players use up their gems. Shereice approaches the machine and looks at it with twinkling eyes as she tells the dragon that she would like 21 balls since she feels lucky today. Well, that's what gambling addicts always say, Shereice. After a few minutes, Shereice slumps and feels disappointed since all the items she wins are useless. These include a magic sturdy rope ladder, an expanding loaf, and a sparking fire seed. Thus, after losing, she decides to proceed to her main plan, activating the treasure chest that cost 50 million gems. Shortly after, Shereice enters the store and politely greets the dragon lady. From her knowledge, she learns that dragons are strict when it comes to manners. Plus, dragons are a sucker for filial piety. After greeting the dragon lady, she then informs her that she came to look for a present for her grandpa. Hearing this, the dragon lady becomes ecstatic, instantly praising Shereice for being filial towards her grandparents. As Shereice looks around, she quickly notices that the store has lots of stuff that the real world has, including medicine that might be useful for her. Shereice notices a box of useful first aid stuff, so she quickly asks how much it costs, forgetting to hide her excitement. The dragon lady will raise the price if she notices Shereice wanting it, which is true as the dragon lady acts like it's rare and is shipped from afar. Seeing this, Shereice puts it down and continues finding the dart, but she's too short to look at the top shelf. Thus, the dragon lady decides to help her. She's fond of Shereice after all. Afterwards, Shereice sees the saved dart she needs, so she purchases it, getting the box with medicine for free. A while later, an explosion thunders from outside the store where a boy appears, calling Shereice her real name. Ooh, the plot develops. Shereice quickly approaches the wounded boy to help him, but as she gets closer, the boy starts to call her by her game name. This makes her think that perhaps she misheard him at first. It's not like any game character knows her real name anyway. Upon assessing the boy's condition, Shereice instantly notices how serious his wounds are. He needs to be treated as soon as possible. But when she starts to ask for help from other dragons, they only stare at him. Even the dragon lady only comments on how stinky he smells. Shereice reasons out that it's only the smell of blood, but the dragon lady explains to Shereice that they can smell other things, and that is clearly the smell of a sacrificial offering. Suddenly, Shereice receives a quest to treat the boy's wound, with a 10-gem reward per wound treated. Naturally, Shereice accepts since she plans to treat his wounds either way. She confidently starts treating the boy alone, receiving no help from other dragons. Shereice, your kindness knows no bounds. As Shereice is treating the wound, the dragon lady approaches and starts to help her. She gives Shereice a bandage, hoping to stop the stenchy smell the boy is emitting. As they continue to treat the wound, they notice that the boy has more wounds than they expected. Seeing this, the dragon lady comments that the boy must have swept up in time, twisting his fate. Shereice confusingly looks at the dragon lady, so she continues to explain that the boy might have encountered a problem with his timeline, making him return to the past. She also adds that the boy might have tried to merge with his present self by force. The dragon lady continues to explain that they can't fully treat the boy since she feels that he holds a deity within him. It's the same logic how holy blessings don't work on those who have dragon blessings. She then teases Shereice, telling her that the boy intends to visit her and not ask for help. Soon after, Shereice realizes she can't leave the boy there. Thus, she decides to bring him home and hide him inside her closet. Oh, I can't wait for her dad and brother's reaction. The following day, the boy watches Shereice sleeping peacefully. He then starts to talk to her about her habit of helping and taking care of the sick and injured, commenting that he only came back to this hell to meet Shereice. After all, a future without her is no different from being in hell. A couple minutes go by and the boy bids his goodbye, leaving behind a memento in the hopes of Shereice remembering him when they see each other. Okay, now I'm curious who this boy is. Days pass by and it is finally Agricultural Day. While preparing, Shereice remembers the boy, wondering how he knew she was at the dragon market that time. Could her future self have told the boy about the dragon market? Shereice stops thinking, reassuring herself that they will surely meet again. After all, he went so far as to travel back in time to see her. Afterwards, Shereice starts to remember that she'll be meeting her grandpa today, so she quickly and excitedly prepares for the party. As she tries on all the dresses made for her, the maids can't help but gush about how cute she looks in every dress. That is, except for one dress adorned with flowers. Soon after, Gargus and Edis arrive in her room, and Gargus starts to tease her for looking like a flower fairy again. However, Shereice looks at him with annoyance, asking that he stop teasing her. Hearing this, Edis acts as a referee between them, wiping the cookie crumbs off of Shereice's face. Meanwhile, the maids look at them with adoration, especially at the prince who is also falling for Shereice's charms. Shereice then calls for the maid to give her the medicine bag she will bring to the party. What a Girl Scout Shereice is! After they enter the carriage, Shereice curiously asks him if they prepared a gift for Grandpa or if they forgot about it. The two boys look at each other and assure Shereice they already have a present. Are they going to give little Chick as their tribute? Upon arriving at the palace, Shereice is amazed by how glamorous and grand the Emperor's residence is. Gargus and Edis then extend their hands towards Shereice, assuring her that she isn't alone, a gesture she happily accepts. Once more, Gargus starts to tease Shereice, saying that she'll faint upon seeing their grandfather, leaving him with no choice but to gobble her up in an instant. Still, Edis quickly reassures Shereice that their grandfather has never eaten anyone, although, indeed, he made someone faint. Hearing this, Shereice suddenly feels nervous. As they walk down the hallway, she sees a picture of the rare-hod Royal Castalia, the only human who fought with the Dragon Lord using his bare hands and has lived for hundreds of years as neither dragon nor human. Upon entering the ballroom, Genovia quickly approaches them, but the three walk past Genovia, making him angrier. He taunts Gargus, probably to provoke him, but Gargus doesn't budge. Seeing this, Shereice remembers that in the real world, she once played Gargus's character, so she knows that Gargus can be snarky. Genovia continues to taunt Gargus, commenting that some useless brat who used to be Alexandra's toy is Gargus's sister. This implies that their father must be out of his mind to adopt Shereice. Gargus doesn't let this slide, and he lands a punch on a stunned Genovia. Shereice loudly comments what a loser Genovia is, making him snap. He's about to retort when Edis intervenes. He starts narrating how he caught wind of a noble extorting an invention from a commoner, making Genovia bead with sweat. However, Edis finds one thing odd. Why is the invention registered under Genovia's name? With a mischievous glint in his eyes, he hints about knowing how Genovia is guilty. If there's anyone sullying the Wynn name, he only has himself to blame. Knowing this, Genovia starts to falter, immediately backing away from them. Ugh, to have brothers like Gargus and Edis. When they wait for the Emperor's arrival, Shereice realizes how lucky she is to have brothers that are willing to protect her. However, her thoughts are interrupted when the Emperor's arrival is announced. Shereice finally beholds the Emperor's face. She notices that he doesn't look like a grandpa, rather a beautiful middle-aged man. She can't help but admire his gorgeous features. Suddenly, a character information pin rises in front of Shereice. This lets her know that the Emperor has been enjoying peanuts and beer for 3 years despite suffering from a peanut allergy. Knowing this, Shereice feels stressed since an ordinary person would have been killed if they had done what the Emperor did. Later, a quest is given to Shereice. The specifics? Check on the Emperor's condition and alleviate his allergic reaction with a suitable remedy. Shereice then realizes that the game doesn't want her to give the Emperor a simple antihistamine remedy. Afterwards, the gift-giving starts, and Shereice sees that the Emperor quickly determines the value of the items, easily rejecting or accepting the goods. Those whose items were accepted are given a blank check as a reward. Well, I would even like to have one of those checks. Up next, it's Genovia's turn to give his gift. He acts like a cute boy, which makes Shereice, Gargus, and Edis cringe. Unfortunately, the Emperor rejects Genovia's gift. Soon, it's Gargus and Edis' turn to give their gift, but what Shereice doesn't expect is for her brothers to offer her up as the gift. They introduce her as their sister, claiming that she may be able to help relieve the Emperor's discomfort. Realizing that there's no turning back, Shereice approaches the Emperor, cutely calling him her grandpa. After doing this, she is given a hidden quest to recommend an alcoholic beverage other than beer, and the reward? 100 million gems. To the Emperor's surprise, Shereice blurts out that he's been consuming poison. The guests are all stunned and outraged, but the Emperor silences them. He asks her if she's willing to take responsibility for her words, which Shereice quickly agrees to. Hearing this, the Emperor announces that he will give Shereice the benefit of the doubt. The grandpa will surely fall for how cute and innocent Shereice is. After the ceremony, Gargus becomes anxious and asks Shereice if she's sure that the Emperor is consuming poison. Shereice assures him not to worry and to trust her judgment, but it's to no avail, as Gargus continues to yap about the Emperor being strict. He's worried that the Emperor might punish her. Still, Edis interrupts by calmly telling Gargus not to be afraid, as Shereice has learned something helpful from the dragon. Hearing this, Shereice remembers that she has a lot more to do now. Distribute the ointment, prescribe something that can cure the Emperor's peanut allergy, and recommend an alcoholic beverage other than beer. Next, Shereice overhears the doctor and the butler talking about the possibility that the princess might be right about the Emperor's condition. The doctor disagrees, and the two begin to argue. This is interrupted when Shereice approaches them, and it's no surprise that the Emperor is also there with the doctor and the butler. The Emperor then tells Shereice that she doesn't need to come out to greet him, but Shereice starts to act cute and replies that she misses her grandpa. The Emperor only chuckles, making Shereice realize that he might be getting used to her acting like an adorable child. Afterwards, everyone gathers in the office and waits for Shereice, who's busy reviewing the record of what the Emperor has been eating. As she reads, she notices the doctor scoffing at her actions. Shereice feels eager to see his reaction when she shares her diagnosis. After a while, Shereice begins to explain her diagnosis. She has noticed that it's been a few years since the Emperor started eating peanuts. She asks if his symptoms worsened during the fall season, to which the butler quickly agrees and curiously asks how she knew. Shereice then explains that the peanut season also falls in autumn, and the records show the Emperor's increased consumption of peanuts with beer over the past 3 years. She continues to explain that some foods are harmless to most people but poisonous to others, and for the Emperor, that food is peanuts. Hearing this, the butler quickly announces that he will instruct the chef to eliminate peanuts from the Emperor's diet. The Emperor comments on Shereice's confidence, to which she replies that a nameless dragon taught her many things in a dream, and she starts to describe the dragon's appearance. Afterwards, Shereice hands the Emperor some tablets and instructs him to take them, but the Emperor questions how she was able to acquire such medicine, since it's clear it didn't come from a dream. Shereice bought it from a dragon, so it's not a lie. Luckily, Shereice had come prepared with an excuse. She confidently tells them that a dragon appeared in her dream. In the dream, she explains her grandfather was sick, but she didn't know how to cure him. The dragon, moved by her concern, promised to help. After gently kissing her on the cheek, it vanished, and Shereice woke up with a bottle of medicine in her hand. After hearing her explanation, the Emperor takes the medicine without hesitation, even though his butler hesitantly suggests breaking the tablet in half and testing it on someone else first. Shereice then steps closer to the Emperor and casually suggests that he reduce his beer consumption. In fact, she concocted an alternative beverage using Yuslam instead. Minutes later, Edis checks on the Emperor and asks if he feels any discomfort. The Emperor calmly replies that his fever seems to have gone down. Just then, Shereice receives a notification. Her surprise quest is complete. She's awarded 1,000 gems. Everything seems to be going according to plan. Meanwhile, the doctor, Mirrodin, who also happens to be Solip's cousin, offers an apology to Shereice. She smiles and reassures him that it's all right, understanding that they were all just worried about the Emperor's health. Curious, Shereice then asks Mirrodin about his background, pointing out that only the temple can grant medical licenses. He confirms this, explaining that he first trained under a teacher before studying to earn his official license. Hearing this, Shereice praises him, calling him a genius. Soon after, the Emperor addresses the matter of Shereice's reward. Without hesitation, Shereice declares that she wishes to work alongside her brother at the Imperial Medical Center to help others. Her original plan was to use her wish to get help from Edis in securing a position at the center, but it seems she can do it on her own now. Hearing this, the Emperor smiles and gives his approval. He instructs Mirrodin to assist Shereice in beginning her research on allergies, an idea Shereice herself proposed, and to compile the results into a published work. Mirrodin readily agrees to the task. At that moment, Shereice realizes that everything is unfolding just as she hoped. The Emperor then adds that he's granting her full freedom to do as she pleases, and the effectiveness of her work will speak for itself. He assures her that both Mirrodin and Huiton will support her in any way they can. As Shereice prepares for bed that night, the maid excitedly asks how the agricultural day went. Shereice replies that everything was fine, proudly sharing with them that she had given her grandpa the ointment she had made. Next, Bacall visits Shereice. She quickly runs towards him, and Bacall instantly lifts her. While they walk towards her bed, he asks how Shereice's day was. Shereice starts to share with her father that Grandpa doesn't look scary and thinks he's only lonely. While tucking Shereice to bed, Bacall tells her that this is the second time he has heard from someone that the Emperor is lonely, the other one being her mother, Kienna. Shereice then asks Bacall to talk more about her mother, which he happily obliges. Bacall starts by telling Shereice that her mother is insistent like her and also enjoys horseback riding, but he regrets that he was only able to ride with her once. Shereice notices a hint of regret in this, thus she expresses that she wants to learn how to ride horses. However, Bacall tells her that she's too young. Then he realizes that perhaps Gargus can teach her, provided he uses his familiar and not a horse. This is when Shereice learns that her brother's familiar is a lion, much to her shock. Meanwhile, the boy who Shereice treated is locked up in jail inside the temple. The boy starts to remember that there are 28 deities in the Castalia Empire, and one of the most powerful is the god of love and faith, Hafnius. The Hafnius Central Order selects an 8-year-old child to live in the temple, but the chosen child dies before adulthood and becomes the Pope. Apparently, this tradition continues because of people who still don't believe that the boy is human. In the Vatican's basement, there is a unicorn that's been locked away, and its blood is a potent poison that has the power to curse humans. It just so happens that it's also used to select a child to be the chosen pope. The boy then tells himself to go through it again to save Shereice from that bastard. Now, I'm curious who's willing to hurt Shereice, who's kind and cute. Afterwards, a priest informs the new priest that the pope is only used as a puppet to collect money from the people. When the priest escorts the boy, the priest notices how cold his eyes are, unlike yesterday's when he looked miserable. The following day, Shereice screams at the top of her lungs as she and Gargus ride his familiar lion. After getting off, she quickly runs towards her nanny, asking for help. Shereice's nanny then asks Gargus to stop teasing and scaring Shereice, but he merely responds that he's only teaching Shereice to be a better rider. Noticing that Shereice is about to cry, Gargus begs to forgive him, but Shereice tells him that she will only forgive him if he grants her 10 wishes. Of course, Gargus quickly agrees. Afterwards, Shereice curiously asks Gargus what he will do if she also wants to be the emperor. Hearing this, Gargus tells her that if she wants to be an emperor, he will find a way to make it happen and is willing to get rid of everyone except her and Edis. This surprises Shereice, scolding him for not doing it. Shereice then approaches Du, the familiar lion, softly patting him as she asks Gargus what will happen to the familiar if the owner dies. He explains that the familiar also dies with the owner, a reality that saddens Shereice. Later that night, Gargus and Edis are in the thicket of trees in the forest, along with Genovia. Genovia again insults Shereice, questioning why they like a useless brat, especially one that is not their real sister. Genovia suggests that they should treat him nicely. After all, he'll be useful for alliances when Edis becomes emperor. Still, Edis smirks and tells Genovia to apologize to Shereice, but he rejects him. Seeing that Genovia will not follow him, Edis starts to attack him, and even if Genovia tries to dodge it, he is still too weak to be Edis' enemy. As Genovia is pushed to the ground, he yields to Edis, promising to apologize to Shereice. In case Genovia goes back on his word, Edis records his promise, knowing Genovia all too well. Well, Genovia deserves the beating for being a bully. Face down on the ground, Genovia burns with humiliation at the hands of the two royal boys. Anger coils in his chest as he begins to plot revenge, until a voice pierces through the silence. A small round fruit rolls to stop beside him. Then the voice offers a deal: eat the fruit, and his deepest desires will come true. But there's a cost. After death, Genovia must surrender his soul to the one who spoke. Blinded by fury and greed, Genovia devours the fruit without hesitation. From the shadows, a figure watches him with a wicked grin. Elsewhere, in the grand halls of their mansion, Gargus notices something is off about his brother. Edis looks unwell. Concern flashes across Gargus's face, but Ed brushes it off with a faint smile, insisting he's fine. Inside, though, Ed feels the steady throb of his dragon heart, a reminder of the ancient power coursing through him. He convinces himself it's just the strain of carrying such power at a young age. But Gargus sees through him. He gently tells Ed there's no need to pretend, at least not with him. Ed glances around, checking for eyes and ears, then lets the mask fall. Before heading to bed, the brothers exchange quiet words about their father, who is on a mission to uncover what he witnessed before his confinement. They say goodnight, and Ed enters his room. Alone, the weight of his responsibilities returns. The pressure of the throne bears down on him, pushing him to appear kind, noble, and worthy in the eyes of their people. Peaceful succession demands a flawless image, and he plays the part well. But tonight, his thoughts wander. He wonders if Shereice, their little sister, sees through his facade. She always seems distant towards him than she does towards Gargus. Could she sense the truth? Banters from the hallway pull him from his thoughts. It's Shereice and Gargus, their playful teasing reaching his sensitive ears. Ed, gifted with the ability to hear everything, has long struggled with the noise of the world. Unlike Gargus, who can see through anything, Ed's gift once tormented him until he mastered sensory obstruction, quieting the voices that once overwhelmed him. His mind drifts again, this time to a memory of their parents, entrusting him with a sacred promise to protect their family at all costs. And just then, as if summoned by that promise, the person he vows to protect above all else bursts into the room. Shereice, sweet and full of life, tugs at his arm and asks him to help her choose a dress for Alexandra's party. With a soft sigh and a hidden smile, he rises to follow her, because for her, he'd do anything. Being distant is not in Shereice's vocabulary. Shereice twirls in front of the mirror, each dress she tries on looking like it was made just for her. The attendants watch in awe, clearly enchanted by the little royal. But when they turn to Edis for his opinion, he coolly remarks that the dresses seem too frivolous. Shereice's smile falters, her face turning sour at her brother's picky taste. But Ed explains that Alexandra is known for wearing gold, so Shereice should wear a deep red for contrast. The suggestion melts Shereice's annoyance into admiration. Beaming, she clings to her brother in gratitude. Ed is momentarily startled but allows her affection, secretly pleased by it. As the search for the perfect party dress continues, Ed raises a practical concern. He questions why the fabrics are so thin when winter's breath is just around the corner. The discussion soon drifts to the upcoming almond hunting season. Amon, a legendary fire-breathing serpent large enough to devour entire homes, emerges this time of year. At last, Cherise slips into a lovely dark pink gown and Ed gives his rare nod of approval. Finally! His praise lights up her face, and seizing the moment, Cherise innocently asks about his familiar. Unable to resist her cuteness, Ed calls forth his familiar, a graceful flying squirrel named View. Cherise squeals with delight, gently stroking the creature's fur. She opts to show it to Sophia, but Ed declines. View, after all, serves as more than a pet. He's a secret keeper and silent watcher, often used to gather information discreetly. His existence must remain within the family's trusted circle. Before more questions can be asked, a knock breaks the moment. An attendant announces Genovia's arrival. He seeks an audience with His Highness. Ed agrees, assuming Genovia intends to apologize to Shereice, just as he was instructed during their last meeting. But the moment Genovia steps into the room, both Ed and Shereice sense something off. His aura feels wrong, and the air tightens. And just like that, the scent of desperation and danger hangs in the air. Edis, Shereice, and Genovia gather in the living room as Ed calmly inquires about Genovia's unexpected visit. But something feels off. Genovia looks frail with his pale skin and hollow eyes. A strange, ominous aura clings to him like a dark spirit whispering at his back. Shereice narrows her eyes, sensing something eerie. Her gaze sharpens when she notices Genovia's chest rising too fast, a sign that he's hyperventilating. In a heartbeat, Ed steps forward and shields his sister, pushing her gently behind him. His instincts flare, alert to danger, and then it happens. Genovia's eyes ignite with a crimson glow as he unleashes a twisted ambition. He wants the throne. A deafening blast follows his outburst, shaking the room. The force throws Shereice in the air, but View swoops in to catch her before she hits the ground. Amid the chaos, Shereice catches a glimpse of her brother engulfed in powerful energy as he counters the corrupt force surrounding Genovia. The sheer magnitude of Edis's power crackles through the air, ready to make Genovia feel the weight of his treachery. Just when things seem too dangerous, Sophia rushes in to save Shereice. Relief fills the air until another explosion knocks them both off their feet. No! But hope arrives as Prince Baikal bursts into the scene just in time, catching his little girl before she loses consciousness. Watching it all unfold from a distance is Pabel, the true puppeteer behind the madness. With a wicked grin, he watches the chaos he orchestrated, even deceiving Baikal into following an enchanted paper bird possessed by a demonic spirit. Though his plan is momentarily disrupted by the prince's intervention, Pabel remains amused. Genovia, after all, was nothing more than a pawn, an empty vessel twisted by his own hunger for power. But what fuels Pabel's cruelty? Petty revenge. Genovia dared insult the one he calls his toy, Shereice. Unforgivable in his mind. The nerve of this small, sinister being! To Pabel, Shereice is just a piece of a larger game, one he intends to control and torment. But will his wicked plans truly succeed? Sunlight streams through the stained glass windows of the mansion, but the peace is quickly shattered by a shrill voice echoing through the halls. Alexandra is throwing tantrums, demanding to know what dress Shereice plans to wear to her party. Watching from the shadows is Pabel, quietly amused. Once, Alexandra was the Empire's shining jewel. The other princesses were either away on missions, married off to noble houses, or, like Shereice, dismissed as hopeless. With no real competition, Alexandra basked in undivided attention. But things have changed. Shereice has recovered, blossomed, and now threatens the throne of affection Alexandra once ruled alone. And that's why Alexandra is trembling beneath all her fury. Recalling the ancient pact he made with Alexandra's father, Pabel decides to play the ally. He approaches her with honeyed words, gently easing her mood. As if offering a gift, he reveals Genovia's arrest. But Alexandra stiffens. Genovia was her pawn. Pabel's interference feels like trespassing on her territory. The unease creeps in deeper as she remembers a letter from her father written a year ago, urging her to let Pabel do as he pleases. After all, their pact was sealed long before she was even born. Her thoughts wander to her birthmark, an eerie mirror of Pabel's own. Coincidence? She doubts it. And while Pabel always wears a pleasant smile, she sees the truth behind his gaze. To him, she's nothing more than a spoiled child. As their tense conversation continues, a maid quietly tends to them, unnoticed. Or so she hopes. But Pabel's attention shifts. Later, as the maid walks alone through the long corridors, the air turns cold. Pabel intercepts her path, eyes glowing with dark allure. He then lures her in, offering a pact that he'll grant her deepest desire, but in return, her soul will belong to him after death. For demons, pacts are lifelines. Just as humans need food, demons need desires to feast on. And the maid's mask falls as she reveals that she wants to be a princess. A Genovia 2.0 in the making? Let's see where her hunger for royalty leads her. Because in Pabel's game, desire always comes at a price. 18 years ago, under a silver moon, Emperor Riklas of southern Castalia made a fateful offer. In exchange for power and favor, he promises his firstborn child to Pabel. Regardless of how the plan unfolds, Pabel must serve the child. At first, Pabel finds the deal intriguing, but over time it proves troublesome, filled with obligations. In truth, he's beginning to regret it. Back in the present, Pabel proceeds with a new pact, this time with Jessica Fober, the maid whose heart now burns with greedy ambition. Meanwhile, tension thickens in Castalia Manor. Gargus storms through the halls, frustration rolling off him like thunder. He confronts the High Priest, demanding answers on why his little sister Shereice hasn't woken up yet. The High Priest insists they've exhausted every divine remedy available, but his words only stoke Gargus' anger. Then Edis speaks and his words cut deep. With a sharp glare, he calls the High Priest what no one dares to say aloud. Useless. The priest reels in shock, turning to rebuke the young prince. But Edis is unrelenting. His words expose every scheme and deception the priest has hidden under his sacred robes. Humiliated, the High Priest turns to Prince Baikal, desperate for someone to silence these fearless royals. But Baikal remains still. There's no scolding here, old man. Not today. To make matters worse, Edis delivers a final blow. By morning, he says, the streets will be flooded with pamphlets to expose the High Priest. The High Priest scoffs until Edis pulls out his ace. There it is, in living color, the priest mocking their god, revealing his twisted use of faith for personal gain. The room turns cold. The High Priest stands exposed, shame pressing on him like iron. With no other choice, he invokes his last resort, the Pope. Prince Baikal gives him an ultimatum, and the High Priest flees to act. Then, the weight of the moment catches up to Edis. He bows his head, guilt etching into his every breath. He blames himself for what happened to Shereice, but Gargus is quick to reassure him that it was never his fault. Soon after, Gargus stands beside Shereice's bed, gazing down at her sleeping form. He whispers softly, wishing her back to life with every word. Edis and Prince Baikal silently stand with him, each carrying a shared pain. A knock breaks the stillness. An attendant announces Sophia's inquiry. She too was caught in the chaos, but the priest had poured their divine powers into her just in time. Amid the silence, a trembling father clutches Shereice's tiny hand, his eyes filled with silent pleas. Fear drapes over him like a cloak, and in that fragile moment, his world begins to spin. Fragments of old memories flicker at the edges of his mind, like shadows trying to return. He sways with dizziness, but brushes it off. Right now, there's only one thing that matters: his daughter waking up. And as the room holds its breath, we can only hope she does before the hearts that love her break under the weight of waiting. As she sleeps, Shereice drifts into a dreamy journey of healing. A heart-shaped glow floats before her. She gazes at it for a moment, then gently turns her focus inward. Healing comes first. But Shereice never stays still for long. Curiosity stirs. She rises, and soon her thoughts spiral toward the idea of succession, until, like a flicker of sunlight, familiar faces appear. Her beloved cats. Suddenly, a glowing message appears. To complete her recovery, Shereice must choose one of her animal companions to become her familiar. Dilemma sets in. How can she possibly choose just one when she loves all of them equally? Just then, a magical door shimmers into view. A sign reads, "Only those chosen may pass." Another message follows, but with a twist. She can choose them all, but their shared power would be cuteness. The purest magic of all, perhaps. Shereice laughs. Out of nowhere, her 3 cats come prancing into sight, and as if summoned by her joy, a 4th joins them. a tiny white kitten with a charming spot over one eye. Her heart bursts with delight. 4 kittens, one little family. She scoops them into her arms, eyes sparkling and feeling fully recovered. Amid the joy, a voice echoes. It's her father's, gentle, aching, and full of longing. She steps towards the door, not alone, but with her tiny guardians in tow, ready to surprise her father. Not just healed, but glowing and accompanied by the sweetest magic of all, her kittens. Meanwhile, the Pope stands silently beside Shereice's unconscious body. Behind him stands the Holy Priest, the very one the young princes once threatened, and beside them, Prince Baikal watches closely. Unexpectedly, the Pope announces that he can sense Shereice's consciousness. The Holy Priest can hardly believe it. After all, the Pope possesses no known magical powers. Then comes a request that stirs the priest's anger. The Pope calmly asks everyone to leave the room, and only those essential to the moment should remain. This is so he can focus. The priest protests, but then Gargus and Edis steps in, firmly guiding him away. Now alone with Shereice and the Pope, Prince Baikal makes an offer. If the Pope can awaken his daughter, he may ask for anything but her hand in marriage. In his heart, the prince suspects the Pope will ask for freedom from his unfortunate situation within the Vatican, a request Baikal is more than willing to grant, if it means bringing Shereice back. But fate takes an unexpected turn. What the Pope wants is not freedom, it's Shereice. At first sight, he had fallen for her, and now he wants not favors, not escape, but her, that one forbidden thing. Boldly, he declines the prince's offer to help, quipping that perhaps a man who needs help isn't strong enough to be a future son-in-law. Prince Baikal is left stunned by the Pope's boldness. Then, as if summoned by the passion in the room, something miraculous happens. Shereice stirs. Her eyes flutter open, and the first thing she sees is the Pope. She gazes at him and is left captivated. There's admiration, maybe more, in that fleeting moment. Yet Prince Baikal remains unconvinced. He senses no magic from the Pope, no divine spark. His faith in the Vatican crumbles, and in protest he refuses to bring Shereice to the new Pope's inauguration. The Pope is returned to his dark, lonely cell within the temple, where he lifts his eyes to the heavens, aching to see Shereice once more. His thoughts drift back to the moment he first saw her, on the battlefield during the Great War against monsters. Shereice led the Imperial Nurses Brigade. Her hands healed thousands, and the people soon called her a saint. But behind her grace lay heartbreak. She uncovered the cruel truth of the war, Pabel's betrayal, the friend she once trusted. That discovery drove her to vanish from the battlefield and from the world. Now, fate draws them together once again. But the question is, will old wounds repeat themselves? Or will the Pope and the Saint defy the past and shape a future neither dared to dream? Shereice's awakening sparks an immediate clash between the Pope and Prince Baikal. The prince, clearly protective, wants his daughter far from the Pope's presence. But there's no stopping Shereice from quietly marveling at the Pope's beauty. She even muses that perhaps his powers lie in those enchanting looks. Once the Pope takes his leave, Shereice's loyal attendants rush in, their faces bright with relief. Overwhelmed with warmth, Shereice asks about Sophia and smiles upon hearing that she too is on the road to recovery. Soon her brothers arrive, hands full with a warm bowl of soup just for their beloved little sister. They then slip into protective mode, discussing the need for Shereice to have a guard following the recent incident. But the Imperial law is clear that no child under 10 requires a bodyguard, protected by a long-standing decree against harming the young. Still, Ed presses on with the mischievous glint in his eye. Why not tell their grandfather the guard is just a playmate? Shereice lingers on Ed's face, sensing his quiet guilt. Perhaps he feels somehow responsible for her condition. To ease his heart, Shereice offers him a gentle smile and a few heartfelt words of gratitude as a way of assuring him. Then Gargus, or just Gis to Shereice, brings up the Pope's upcoming official visit that is just 2 days away. They both try to dissuade Shereice from attending, but after their strange and stirring encounter, she's determined to see him again. Her brothers, however, have other plans. The idea of a second meeting unnerves them, but Shereice knows exactly how to win them over. With just the right pout, a few sparkly eyes, and a well-timed tantrum, her father and brothers melt in her hands. Left alone in her room once more, Shereice curls up with her feline familiars. She strokes their soft fur and wonders, now that she has her precious kittens with her, is there still any reason to return to the real world? As if hearing her thoughts across space and time, Saharte, the Pope, sits in the stillness of his cell thinking of Shereice. He wonders if she now sees no reason to return to the real world, now that her beloved cats are by her side. In the past, she left this world behind, driven by a longing for what she has left and the mistaken belief that this world was only a game. But everything changed the day she disappeared. The Empire began to crumble in her absence. In a desperate final hour, the Dragon Lord and Emperor Rarhod sacrificed their lives to cast a forbidden spell, one that turned back time. And Saharte? He volunteered to be the vessel of that miracle, the time traveler burdened with the past. Yet, even miracles come with rules. He was given 2 unbreakable restrictions. First, he must never tell Shereice why the Empire was doomed. And second, he cannot reveal that this world is real, not just a game. The magic that binds him is so absolute that even when the truth burns on his tongue, his lips cannot move to speak it. It is revealed that Saharte is the one who summoned Shereice's familiars into this world. Unlike Pabel, who sought to deceive her into believing everything was an illusion, Saharte's mission is the opposite, to make her believe in the truth, that this world is real. Meanwhile, in the present time, Prince Baikal storms into his father's chambers, burning with fury. He brings news of the cursed flying paper, laced with a demonic spirit, clearly Pabel's doing. The memory of Shereice's pain sharpens his rage, and he demands vengeance. But the Emperor remains composed, calm in the face of his son's storm. He received a secret message about Shereice from the Dragon Lord the night before. In that quiet revelation, he comes to a solemn conclusion that only 2 people can change what is destined to come: the Saint and the Time Traveler, the ones who carry the lost memories of the future. And now, with fate unraveling and time folding in on itself, their intertwined paths may decide everything. This is only just the beginning! So guys, what do you think of this story so far? Please subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on this and all our other stories, so you can be the first to find out when they're out. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one!